Looking back at the punk era, you know, you were a woman of your time.
Yes.
What was it about that era that
Oh,
just
the
made
era
it...
was brilliant because I was dyslexic, so I didn't learn to read till I was 12, and I'd lost a lot of education being in hospital because I had to have lots of corrective surgery, which was another reason why my mother was so protective of me, because she had to teach me how to walk. She had to be with me quite a lot of the time as a child, because I was born with a defect down the right side. And I've forgotten the question now.
What was the question?
I went off on a tangent.
Yeah, no,
anyway.
the whole question of the era, the
That's
punk
it,
thing.
punk.
And
Now, the beauty of punk, I'm back with you now. The beauty of punk was that it said that if you've got something to express and something to say, every individual has the right to do that. And punk to me wasn't about spitting and being violent. It was about the blossoming and development of the individual. You know, if you had a will, there was a way.
And you didn't have to have a secondary school A-level behind you to succeed in that particular world.
Then you didn't, but I must admit, if I have any regrets, it was I didn't really take my education very seriously at all.
You succeeded in spite of all of that. I mean, as an actress, you've had successes both on the screen and in the theatre.
Yeah.
And I know you're going into, what, Peter Pan?
I start Peter Pan next week with Frank Findlay.
And you are playing?
Peter Pan.
Peter Pan.
For 5 months.
For 5 months. There's a dark side to Peter Pan, which you may explore, of course, in the formation of the character for Panto.
Oh, definitely. I mean, you've got to take into account Peter Pan is probably about 200 years old, and the irony there is that you have the boy that never grows up, but he's been living for centuries, so he's gained some kind of knowledge and wisdom, which I think makes him very powerful.
I was going to ask you, looking back on it, would you do everything, besides the education thing, which you've meant, would you do everything again as you did? Knowing then what you know now?
That's such a big question. I would have worked harder. I kind of surfed on this big wave of fame and enjoyed it and didn't do my homework enough. I'd work a bit harder, I think.
Yeah, but you enjoyed that surfing.
I am a very good surfer.
You're married to Robert Fripp.
Yes.
But you don't see each other that often.
No, Robert lives and works mainly in America. We have a pact that we must see each other once a month. He breaks it often. We fly to wherever the other person is.
Right, once a month?
Yes,
occasionally. Why bother, people might say, you know?
Because he is the most perfect partner in the world for me.
He proposed to you after how many days, months, years?
I'd known him for 4 days when he proposed. But the weird thing was with my husband is as eccentric as I am. I met him, I turned up at his house to work with him, and he said, "I know you're my wife, will you marry me?" And I then discovered from his friends, 3 weeks before he met me, he was going, "I'm about to meet my wife." And he was telling everyone, "I'm about to meet my wife." And people were going, "Who is it?" And he said, "I don't know."
I take it he was ready for marriage at this stage.
I think he must have been ready for marriage.
Yeah.
And we've been together now 10 years, and it goes from strength to strength.
Yeah, it's an interesting arrangement, though, where you see each other infrequently, and I presume passion is more easily renewed when you see each other seldom.
Well, it is romantic. It certainly is romantic. We're two very insular people, and I think it works for us.
You are neither interested in having children, is that so?
I don't biologically want children, but I'm getting to the point where I could easily take 20 into the house. I'm getting that adoption fever.
Yeah, because you yourself decided that biologically, because of your genetic difficulty as a child, that you didn't want to give this to another child.
It's not just that. There's enough children out there who need parents.
And you're available.
I'm very available.
Very available. And you'd have to hide all those photographs of you, you see, because they'd be doing that.
What, dyeing their hair?
Yeah, and all the rest of it.
There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah. What about after Peter Pan? Have you got music that you can offer us on CD?
Yes,
anyway?
I've got a double album coming out in March called Toyah Classics, half electric, half acoustic. And there's another album coming out in the summer called Eternity, so I'll be back on the road again. That's after I've toured Peter Pan, and we're coming to Cork.
Very good.
And Belfast. I can't remember the months. And that's kind of spring. And then I'm turning it into a film.
Really? So you're a busy woman for the next 12 months or so?
Kind of, yes.
Excellent. Well, look, I'm delighted that you dropped in to see us. And perhaps when you're on the road with the band again, you'll come back.
Pleasure.
Toyah Wilcox, thank you very much indeed.
All right.
Stay there for a moment.